smoking, then betel chewing, all this, pan masala and all that. So those are the most important lesions which over the long period of use or abuse, they will lead to cancer. But before cancer occurs, there are certain conditions which are called pre-cancerous condition. Once they are there, means if they are not treated, cancer can evolve from that. So we'll be talking today that. So what is the definition of the pre-malignant lesion, a pre-cancerous lesion? These are morphologically means structurally altered tissue in which oral cancer is more likely to occur than normal counterpart. So these are predisposing conditions which to the cancer. And what are those conditions? First one is leukoplakia. Leuko means white. Plakia means patch. So it is white patch in the oral mucosa. That is leukoplakia. Erythroplakia. Erythro means red. Plakia means patch. So red patch. So white patch, red patch. Now there is a palatal lesion of reverse smoking. I don't know. I've never seen some people smoking, but reverse smoking is they put the burning side of the smoke, cigarette in the mouth. I don't know. I am not seeing, so I can't comment on that. And then you remember only these three: leukoplakia, erythroplakia, and submucous fibrosis. Fibrosis means below submucous means below the mucosa there is extensive fibrosis. So if there is extensive fibrosis, what will happen? Fibrous tissue is not elastic. So because of fibrosis, the person will not be able to open his mouth fully because of fibrosis. So this is the precancer. So these are the three pre-malignant lesions of the oral mucosa: leukoplakia, erythroplakia, submucous fibrosis, which lead to the squamous cell carcinoma if not treated early. Now, what are the age, middle age, and old age? Site is buccal mucosa, lower lip, tongue, floor of mouth. Then risk factors are, as I told you, tobacco in different forms. That is smoking, chewing, alcohol, human papillomavirus. These are the risk factors of all. And when we come individually to each one, again, same thing will be there. So you remember these tobacco in different forms. It is smoking form or chewing form, then alcohol and human papilloma. So there are three groups only. And there is another condition we'll talk about that is confined to certain area. So tobacco in different forms, alcohol and human papilloma virus infection, HPV, that lead to cervical cancer and all that. People keep on coming. So these are the risk factors, that is tobacco in different forms, alcohol and human papilloma virus. Age is middle age and old age. Site is oral mucosa means buccal mucosa, whole of buccal mucosa, anywhere it can occur. Lower lips, tongue, floor of mouth, cheek, inside of cheek. Now what is a leukoplakia? I told you it is a white patch of plaque which cannot be scraped off. That is important. If it is scraped off, it can be removed, then it is not a leukoplakia and cannot be characterized clinically or pathologically by any other disease. It may not be, there not be any existence of any other disease. So it is a white patch which cannot be scraped off, which cannot be removed in the mucosa, and it is not caused by any other disease. I mean, there should not be any other disease in the patient. Now, it is caused by epidermal thickening or hyperkeratosis. What is hyperkeratosis? Hyperkeratosis means formation of excess keratin. So that's why it is called epidermal thickening, because of hyperkeratosis. So you don't find keratin in the oral mucosa. So there will be a keratin formation and there will be hyperkeratosis. And until proved otherwise, it should be considered precancerous. Usually age group, I told you the same thing will come again, what I told you. 40 to 70 years, male, female, more common in the males, less in the females. Now, what are the risk factors? I told you earlier, tobacco is the most common. It is showing strong association with the use of tobacco, particularly pipe smoking and smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco means those pouch, snuff, chewing product, the pan masala and all those. Another causes include alcohol, ill-fitting denture, because they irritate the mucosa. So these are the risk factor. That is a tobacco in different form. That is smoking, and then smokeless tobacco, chewing and pouch, snuff and chewing. The other causes are alcohol, ill-fitting denture, chronic food irritant, very spicy and that irritant food, and then human papilloma virus. So these are, as I told you, the three groups. Here, then ill-fitting denture has come. Otherwise, HPV, alcohol, and smoke in different forms. Those are the risk factors. Same thing will come in other one. Common sites of leukopilkia, most common on the vermilion border, that is the lower lip. This is vermilion border, where mucosa and skin join. Then lateral border of tongue, under surface of cheek. That is most common, those who chew the tobacco, the under side of the cheek as well as lateral aspect of the tongue. Those are the most common site. The hard and soft palate and less frequently floor of the mouth. Gross appearance is they are localized, multifocal or diffuse. They may be smooth surface or rough surface, leather-like, white, and mucosa is thick. So these are the white patches which are thick, which are white. They may be diffuse or multifocal. They may be rough, leathery, or they may be smooth surface. So that is a gross appearance of the leukoplakia. Now types of leukoplakia. That is a homogeneous means smooth white. Nodular means nodular white. Verrucous means wart-like, warty white. Speckle means white and red. And hairy leukoplakia which occurs in HIV by Epstein-Barr virus infection. That is hairy surface. So these are different types of leukoplakia. When it is smooth, it is called homogeneous. When it is nodular, it is called nodular white. Verrucous, warty white. Speckle means white and red. Then hair, if they are on the surface, it is hairy. Now I'll show you the photographs. Now see, this is not homogeneous. These are patchy, speckled. See, this is white patch in the mouth. This is a lateral aspect of the tongue. You see, this is white patch. Thick white patch. See, this is verrucous, part-like on the upper surface of the tongue, backside. This is speckled, white and red patches alternating. So these are the different types of leukoplakia morphologically gross appearance. Now under microscope, hyperkeratosis means keratin form. This is a keratin layer. Okay. Acanthosis, this is a thickening of the squamous epithelium. Hyperkeratosis, acanthosis, dysplasia to carcinoma in situ. I have already told you what is dysplasia. Dysplasia is disorder, cellular growth in which there are features of malignant cells. That is a hyperchromatism, pleomorphism, and then loss of polarity and abnormal mitosis. So these dysplastic feature may be there and they may lead to, if the whole thickness is involved, it becomes carcinoma in situ. So if it is this dysplasia is confined to only basal squamous epithelium, then it is called dysplasia. Otherwise, the whole, if it is involved, then it becomes a carcinoma in situ. So acanthosis means broadening of the squamous epithelium, hyperkeratosis, excess keratin formation, and features of dysplasia. So these are the Histological features under microscope. Now, what is erythroplakia? Erythroplakia is opposite of that. It is red patch and is more dangerous condition, more ominous condition because it is a fiery red patch, soft and velvety texture. Floor of mouth, lateral part of the tongue, and soft palate are the common side. And as I told you, it is a more dangerous. So these are the fiery red patch, soft and velvet-like. And the most common is floor of mouth, lateral part of the tongue, and soft palate. Now under microscope, erythroplakia is almost invariably reveals marked epithelial dysplasia. Dysplasia means those features of malignant cell, that is a hyperchromatism, mitosis, pleomorphism, loss of polarity. So those features will be there, but that will not involve the whole of the epithelium, whole thickness of epithelium, then it becomes carcinoma. The malignant transversal rate is 50. So 50% cases of erythroplakia will become squamous cell carcinoma. So recognition of this lesion becomes even more important than identification of oral leukoplakia. So means if it is erythroplakia, it is more dangerous than the leukoplakia. And features are similar. Pre-malignant, I mean, etiological risk factors are same. Chewing tobacco and so that is, now this is a gross appearance of erythroplakia. See red patch, thick patch red on the tongue, under surface of the tongue, or lateral side and under surface. So this is erythroplakia. If it is white, then it becomes leukoplakia. If it is velvety red, it becomes a erythroplakia. Etiological agent are same. This is another 1, 2, 3. This is erythroplakia. Now you see the gross microscopy and then under microscope. See, these cells are more ominous. These dysplastic cells are there. All big nucleus and all that. There is chronic inflammation in the dermis. And that hyperkeratosis is not that much, but this part, the dysplastic features is more. And that's why they say it is more dangerous than the leukoplakia. Now, what is the third pre-malignant condition or precancerous condition of oral mucosa? I told you submucous fibrosis. Now, it is a chronic progressive condition, and as I told you earlier, patient is not able to open his mouth completely. And there is a diffuse involvement of oral and pharyngeal mucosa. And this mucosa color is white and it lacks elasticity. That's why the patient will not be able to open his mouth. There is a chronic inflammation and fibrosis of lamina propria. What is lamina propria? Lamina propria is upper part of dermis. Now same etiology, same chewing tobacco like pan masala, chili, these chronic irritant, these spices, pepper, deficiency of iron, copper. Ericanet in pan masala is the culprit that causes quite a large amount of fibrosis. So this is a submucous fibrosis in which there is a lamina propria fibrosis and inflammation, and the elasticity of the mucosa is gone. So patient is not able to open his mouth completely. And this is also a precancerous condition, and etiological agent are almost same. Tobacco, chewing tobacco, then this chronic irritant like a lot of spices, chili, pepper. Then deficiency of iron and copper are also important. Now you see the photograph. See, this is mucous membrane has become white, thick, and patient will not be able to open his mouth. is the hyperkeratosis. This is thinning of the squamous, and this is the fibrosis. You can see this white fibrosis in the lamina propria. So this is a submucous fibrosis. So these are the three pre-cancerous conditions of the oral mucosa, and they all lead to cancer. What type of cancer? Squamous cell carcinoma. A squamous cell carcinoma, I have told you, similar features will be there in oral mucosa as in the skin, except that etiological factors will be different. Here, pre-cancerous condition, I told you, in skin, it is always on the exposed skin and exposed to sunlight and other ultraviolet light, and all those features are there, which are not here. I mean, chewing tobacco is not cause of skin cancer. Smoking is not cause of skin cancer. There it is more of the other carcinogen, which I have told you already. Now, 3% of all cancer is a squamous cell carcinoma in the of the mouth, and it is much more common in this India or other places where a lot of people eat pan and this chewing pan masala is a very important culprit, most dangerous. Age I have already told 57, males more than female. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, highest incidence because all these areas, this chewing, this pan masala is very common with. So here the cause of squamous cell carcinoma is the chewing tobacco. Now three predominant sites are there. This Vermilion border, those who are smoking pipe, more common in those pipe smoker, this lower lip of the border, lower lip border, that is the lateral margin of the lower lip, floor of the mouth, lateral border of the mobile tongue, and precursor lesions are seen leukoplakia, erythroplakia, and oral submucosa. Causes. So, as I have already told you, causes tobacco in many forms: cigarette, pipe, smokeless tobacco, chewing tobacco, snuffs, alcohol, human papillomavirus 6, 16, 18, chronic irritation, ill-fitting tooth. Fruit and vegetables are protective. Now, gross appearance is early lesions appear as a pearly white to grey, circumscribed thickening of the mucosa, closure resemble leukoplaque plaque. Then there may be fungating exophytic fashion that is growing outside or on the surface, that is called fungating lesion, or it may form a chronic ulcer. There is central necrosis that creates a cancer ulcer. So these are the with averted and rolled over edges, and they are hard, which feel hard. Septum margin. So it is a leukoplakic plate. It may be fungating lesion, is cauliflower lesion growing on the surface, or it may be a ulcer, chronic ulcer which doesn't heal. Under microscope, you'll see the squamous cell carcinoma, usually moderate to well differentiated. Keratinizing tumor will be keratin forming that is well differentiated, and if it is less keratin forming or no keratin, well moderately differentiated or well. So similar feature that of skin carcinoma will get. So these are the squamous cell carcinoma lateral aspect of eye. You can tongue. You can see this, and this is a microscopic appearance. A lot of keratin formation. These are keratin pearls, and it is in waiting. See, this is epithelium. It has gone into dermis, and there is surrounding area. There is chronic inflammatory cell. That is a immune reaction of the body. Prognosis, you are not interested, so that is finished. Now there is a in oral mucosa, oral pathology, another topic is there, that is pre-malignant lesion and squamous cell carcinoma. Besides that, there is tumor of salivary gland, and there are three major salivary gland. Of course, there are minor salivary gland in the oral mucosa that we are not bothered. One is these three. This is parotid, this is submandibular, and then submental. So these three groups of, one is serous, one is, this is mixed, one is mucus. So this is parotid gland, this is that cheek muscle, and this is a tension duct. parotid gland. This is masseter muscle. So this is location of, and it is most commonly affected. So that's why I am showing you parotid gland structure, gross. And this is a normal histology. As I told you that it is mixed. It is serous as well as mucus. Mucus acini, dark staining. Serous acini, light. These are the ducts. So these are the lobules of mucus secreting gland and serous secreting gland. This is normal histology. Now tumors of salivary gland divided into benign and malignant. Most common is pleomorphic adenoma. It is also called mixed tumor. This is benign and 50%. Second is Warthin tumor, 5 to 10% benign. Oncocytoma, 1% benign. Monomorphic adenoma, 5 to 10%. And duct papilloma. So these are the benign salivary tumor. Pleomorphic adenoma, Warthin's tumor, oncocytoma, monomorphic adenoma, and duct papilloma. Then malignant, mucoepidermoid. It is mixed again. Muco means gland and mucus forming. Epidermoid means keratin forming. Squamous cell. So it is mixture of both. Like this pleomorphic adenoma is also mixed tumor. 15%. Acinic cell carcinoma 5%. Malignant mixed tumor 3 to 5%. Then adenoid cystic carcinoma 5%. Adenocarcinoma not specified 11%. Squamous cell carcinoma 1%. So this is a classification of salivary gland tumor, benign and malignant. Benign is pleomorphic adenoma, Warthin tumor, oncocytoma, monomorphic adenoma, duct papilloma. Malignant is mucoepidermoid carcinoma, acinic cell carcinoma, malignant mixed tumor, adenocystic carcinoma, adenocarcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma. So this classification you have to only remember. You have not to know about other tumors except pleomorphic adenoma, which is very important. It has been asked many times, so you mark it. So what is pleomorphic adenoma? It is also called, as I told you, mixed tumor of the parotid or salivary gland. Most common site is parotid. And it is biphagic, that's why it is called mixed. Biphagic population of epithelial as well as mesenchymal, connective tissue, both. And 90% tumor is in the parotid. That's why I was trying to show you the anatomy of parotid and histology. Painless tumor, slow growing, swelling, tendency to reoccur after excision, 10% chances of recurrence again appearing after the removal of the tumor. So this is very important, this recurrence. I'll tell you why it is recurrence. Then gross, well demarcated, partially encapsulated. That's why it recurs, because it is not completely removed. And grey white, rubbery mass with solid cut surface. So this is a gross, it is well demarcated, but partially it is not fully capsulated. And very grey white appearance on the cut surface. Under microscope, histological examination often reveals multiple sites where the tumor penetrates the capsule in the tongue-like protrusion into surrounding salivary gland. That's why when the tumor is removed, some part of tumor remains because the tongue-like protrusion, projection outside the capsule, it is not removed, and that's why it recurs. So the surgeon has to be very careful. He has to have a wide excision to remove those tongue-like projection also, so that it doesn't recur. So you should remember, it has got tongue-like projection. It is not fully capsulated. So it has got, and the tumor tissue protrudes the tongue in the tongue-like fashion in the surrounding salivary gland. This is important. Adequate margin restrictions are necessary to prevent recurrence. And this may require sacrifice of facial nerve at some time, because facial nerve is passing through the parotid. So many times there is facial paralysis after the surgery. So you should remember that this is important part of the pleomorphic adenoma. That's why it is important. It is a mixed tumor. It occurs most often 90% in the parotid gland, and it is not fully encapsulated. So tumor tissue penetrates the capsule in tongue-like fashion, and thus a removal is difficult. And wide adequate margin of resection is required so that tumor doesn't recur. Many times facial nerve is cut, and so there is facial paralysis. Now under microscope we have got a biphagic. I told you Epithelial has mesenchymal element. Epithelial element is ductal and myoepithelial cells are there, and they are in a glandular fashion or they are in a spindle or oval fashion. The tumor cells form ducts, acini, tubules, and stents or sheets of cells. So they may form duct, they may form homogeneous sheet, or they may form tubule. Now, what is the mesenchymal part? It forms stroma, which can be myxoid type, like mucin, myxoid. Hyaline, I have already told you what is hyaline. Or it may be cartilage, or it may be bone. There is no mitosis. So, sorry for the disruption. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so microscopic picture of the pleomorphic adenoma or salivary gland tumor, and as I told you, this is important. Leukoplakia and other things not that important, but this has been asked many times, and you will get in practical also this slide. So you remember that biphagic population, that is a epithelial as well as mesenchymal tissue will be there. Epithelial tumor, epithelial will be glandular, that is it may form tubules, acini or tubules or strand only sheets of cells, and mesenchymal will be myxoid tissue, hyaline tissue, cartilage tissue, bone tissue. So that this you should remember, it is mixture. That's why it is called. Now these are the pictures of parotid gland pleomorphic adenoma. See this lateral below the yellow lateral side of the jaw. So these are the various pictures you will see in the ward if you happen to. Now this is a gross cut section. It bulges out from the surface. See, these are the nodules, and they project outside the capsule, and that's why if surgeon removes only this will be left and it will cause recurrence. So this is a very important aspect. You should remember that it has got tendency to recur. Now this is another picture. This is a gross appearance cut surface. This is again gross. This is normal parotid gland, and this is a tumor, and this is a microscopic appearance. These are the this cartilage or myxoid appearance. These are the. This is myxoid stroma resembling cartilage, but it may be if there is a individual cell, if you can see, then it becomes cartilage. I show you how cartilage will look like. But this is myxoid stroma. These are myoepithelial cells. When you will be taught histology, the duct, salivary ducts have got two layers. One is epithelial layer, ductal cell, and outside is myoepithelial cell. So these are the myoepithelial cell which form spindle pattern. So this is microscopic appearance. This is the gross appearance, well circumscribed, but poorly encapsulated. Now this is under microscope. You see these are the glands, tubules, whatever you want, and these are the myxoid matrix. So epithelial element, myxoid. That's why it is a mixed parotid tumor, because both elements are there. Now this is the cartilage. You see there is a vacuole and the cartilage nucleus is there. So these are cartilage cells. So that is I have finished the pleomorphic adenoma, and as I told you, it is a important. So you should know microscopic picture, gross picture, and what is the importance of this recurrence. One is the recurrence, and the other is damage to the facial nerve sometimes during surgery. So these things, because of incomplete capsule, it has to be removed completely, wide excision, and it has got epithelial element as well as the mesenchymal element. Mesenchymal element can be a myxoid tissue, hyaline tissue, cartilage tissue, or bone tissue. Epithelial element can form a duct, a gland, and all. It is a epithelial cell as well as myoepithelial cell. Those are spindle-like. So this is a most common tumor of parotid, 90%, and you should know that. I have finished. Any question if you want to ask, you can ask. Anybody wants to ask any question?